All right, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about e-commerce tracking with paid advertising, and your campaigns may be underperforming, but they might not really be underperforming. We have some different clients where we'll be running ads for them, and the return on ad spend might not be as high as we want it to be, and then we've turned off the ads, and then they say, whoa, 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 a lot more of our sales decreased than we thought were going to decrease. So can you turn the ads back on? Then we turn it back on, and they sort of have this thing where there's this, there's this effect of turning off the ads where the impact on the sales is a lot more than the return on ad spend might indicate from the ad platform as being either Facebook or Google Ads. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about how to look at how your paid advertising overall is influencing different parts of the funnel for people buying on your e-commerce website. My name's Adam. I'm the owner of Paracore. We're a pay-per-click lead generation agency. We do just paid advertising. We're in Phoenix, Arizona. And so right now I'm in a Google Analytics account, and this is for an e-commerce company. This is for the month of August. You can see they did $60,000 in revenue. And here we have organic search, 25, direct, 14, email, paid search. So paid search says $4,400 in revenue, okay? So paid search, just so you know if you're in analytics, also includes Facebook. Now there are ways to break out, there are ways to break Facebook out into its own category, but by default, it includes Facebook. So here we can see Google is responsible for $3,800 in revenue, and Facebook is responsible for $542 in revenue, according to Google Analytics. Now, what I want to do is I want to head over to conversions here, and I want to go over to multi-channel funnels. So when I go over here and I hit overview, this is going to give you an idea of where the conversions are coming from and how multiple conversion channels sort of overlap with each other. Now, if you're not seeing this, you will need to turn on enhanced e-commerce analytics in your Google Ads account. It's not on by default. You do need to turn on. You'll see a notice right here if you click over here and it's not on. So this is interesting. I mean, this is basically saying, direct contributed to 65% of total conversions, organic contributed to 51%, email 12, and then it has like these overlaps here, which is great, right? But what we're going to actually look at is we're going to look at assisted conversions, and we're going to look at a model comparison as well. So on assisted conversions, what we're going to see is how did different channels assist in conversion value for other channels? So we're talking primarily about paid advertising here. So I look at paid search, and it says there were 67 assisted conversions and 52 last click conversions or direct. That means that with last click attribution, where paid search, Facebook or Google was the last click, we're going to show $3,200 in revenue where paid search was the last click. However, there were 67 conversions and $3,600 in revenue where paid search contributed to a sale but was not the last click. So if you hover over this, it says the number of conversions for which this channel appeared on the conversion path but was not the final conversion interaction. So this means that there were $3,600, like I just said, of sales where paid search played a role. And you might be asking yourself, well, what role did it play and how do I know that? So we're going to head over to top conversion paths. And this here shows the most common path for conversions to take place. So organic search, and then someone went directly back to the website. There were 82 conversions, $3,700 in value. Where they went to the website 2 times, $3,400 value. Organic search, then direct, $1,800. And then you start scrolling down, and we're going to sort by conversion value, I think. And then you start seeing paid search introduced here. So basically this is saying, all right, someone got an email, then they did a search and they clicked on an ad, and then they did an organic search, another email, direct. And so like, this is just like a lot right here. But what you'll see is that there are only 2 conversions. So this is probably like maybe one person with 2 buys. It's a very unique path. But paid search contributed to $741 in revenue, right? And then I'm going to go look at more. So as we scroll down, we're going to see, okay, paid search, and then they went to the website 3 times and they bought $500. Now this is not going to show as a last click interaction in our conversion reporting because there was the first click interaction. Same thing down here. This is in the middle. It's not first click or last click, it's in the middle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head over to the model comparison tool. And we're going to look at how first click and last click differ based on the conversion value. So right here, last click is the default. I'm going to do, yeah, we'll leave last click. And then I'm going to do first click here, first interaction. Should stop saying first click. And then we're going to do conversions and value. And what we see here is we see paid search. When paid search was the last click, which is oftentimes how attribution works, it's showing $3,200 in conversion value, 52 conversions. However, when paid search was the first click, which means it generated the initial activity, it's $4,700. So you might be seeing in your ad platform, either Facebook or Google, that you have $3,200, and let's say you spent $2,000 in advertising. Now that return that you're seeing is, 160% or something like that, right? Which is not that exciting. However, on a first click attribution model where your Facebook or Google ads actually generated the very first click and introduced you to the brand, you're going to be seeing $4,700 conversion value, right? So that's a very different story. That's a 230% return on ad spend. If I go back to July, sometimes it can be much more dramatic. When I go to July, we see 4,500 and then we see almost 8,000. That's almost twice as much. So if your ad platform is showing a last click attribution, you're going to be seeing a lower amount in these cases. And then first click would show a much higher amount. I can click into this category and see Facebook and Google differently. So if Facebook is showing me $300 in conversion value, now it's showing $700 and then $4,000 and $7,000. I think another thing that's important for Facebook is we typically tend to see Facebook tracking does not seem as accurate in Google Analytics. I mean, Google Ads always seems to be a lot more accurate. So when we head over here and click into paid search, it's okay, how much did Facebook really contribute to the overall sales? And so right here, it's $300 in last click, but an additional $380. So not a ton of money, but it did contribute. The path did contribute through clicks, not just views. And then when we look at Google, it's twice as much, right? So the last click conversion value is $4,100. This is additive. You add this on, $4,600. You add it to $4,000. And the assisted conversions. In the model comparison tool, you don't add. They are just different types of modeling. So again, we'll do first click. And you can mess around with these and try different ones, but these are the most sort of easy to understand and probably the most common. And then I like to do value. So if you've been running campaigns and they just don't seem like they're converting that well, it might be that the ad accounts are attributing the purchase differently than you and your client, kind of want the way you guys want to look at it. Because right here, this is showing $4,500 with the last click attribution. But if you turned off paid search, you would not have a $4,500 impact to your revenue. You would have an $8,000 impact to revenue because it's first interaction. I believe first interaction is probably more accurate when it comes to how much is this campaign contributing to the overall success of the sales for the business. And then when you head back to assisted conversions, it's okay, what did paid advertising generate from the start? That's great. And then over here, the assisted conversions, how much did paid advertising sort of in general contribute? So this is showing the last click, which we saw. So this is actually 8,000 if you do first click. And then it's how did it assist other conversions? And there's another $5,000 there. So you'll see, so when you think about this, what we saw before was 8,000, right? As the first click. So $4,500 here. This says 5,000 additional. So that actually puts us at $9,500. So basically it's saying, okay, you had first click, which was another $4,000. And then there's an additional $1,000 in this assisted conversion value where it kind of came out in the middle. So we saw that one where it was in the second or third position with that really long sequence. That would be where the other $1,000 or so comes into play. And I know I'm just sort of roughly doing the numbers, but here we have organic search, paid search right here, so 338. So this is where it's not first click, it's not last click, it's kind of showing in the middle. So you sort of have last click dollar amount, first click dollar amount, and then middle of the conversion path dollar amount. All right, that's all I got for you today. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, hit the like button and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.